obviously, on my channel. If you need help, hop on, join me, send me questions beforehand, or just come on board when I'm here. And I promise to do my best in helping you. It's just obviously from my perspective, but this is what I do. I'm passionate about helping you guys. My focus group, my target audience has been over 40 who are going through a reset, who want to do something different in their life after a major setback. This is what usually happens. So it's either work, business related, health, or relationships. I specialize in all of these three. I've started from scratch 5 times in my life, 3 companies, two very difficult breakups. So that's what I do. Today, these are the questions I'll have pre-selected. If anybody hops on and wants to interrupt me, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through my 3 questions that I have pre-selected for this. These are the things that people keep asking from me. These are the things that have been sent to me beforehand. So I'm going to get started right away. Question number 1, how do I get rid of this beer belly? This is a fitness related question. So here's the pain. So you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, okay, well, I don't really like the way I look. I might be in okay shape physically, but the way I look is not going to be very pleasing for me. That beer gut or beer belly that I have, how do I get rid of that? This is a question that pops up all the time, and I'm sure there's millions of people, experts online, who talk about this. But what seems to be really difficult for people to understand is that calories in versus calories out is basically how much you weigh. Macros come different. So the first question is, if you want to lose weight, you got to eat less than you consume. In theory, you could gain or lose weight by just eating bananas only. If my daily consumption is 2,000 calories and I happen to like bananas a lot and I eat, I don't know, 25 or 30 bananas a day, that probably would be roughly 3,000 calories. I would start gaining weight, literally. There isn't a food on this planet that would stop you from gaining weight if you eat too much of that. Of course, if you only eat carrots, which are not very calorie dense, so it would be almost impossible for you to start gaining weight consistently if you did that. But understand this, calories in versus calories out. Like I said, daily consumption is 2,000. I could eat birthday cakes only or donuts. If I ate 1,500 calories worth of donuts, I would lose weight. It doesn't mean that I look very good, but I would start losing weight. And as far as that beer belly or that beer gut that you have, it just happens to be that one spot in your body that keeps storing more fat than other parts of your body. And it usually that part of your body is that it's that part where the fat disappears last, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. But it will come off eventually. So understand first what your consumption is, and then you eat less than that, and you will start eventually losing fat. But here comes the important part, and the reason why all the experts online talk to you about your macros, meaning what you eat. So if calories in versus calories out is how much you weigh, then your macros or the types of food that you eat basically determines what you look like. If I ate birthday cake only or donuts, obviously I would probably look like a donut at the end of the day. I would be soft, I wouldn't have any muscles, I wouldn't look very good, so to say, if that athletic look is what you're after. So calories in versus calories out, step number 1. Step number 2 is you fix your macros. And as long as you eat healthy, nothing processed, organic food, so to say, or I would say it doesn't have to be from an organic store. But rule of thumb that I always have is that look at the that particular food that you're eating. Take it the way it looks basically when you pull it from the ground and you pick it up from a tree, and then when you transfer that over to your plate. If it's almost identical, meaning a banana or a carrot or an egg or something like that, it's usually a very good choice. So obviously you don't have pizzas that grow in the ground or grow on trees. Makes sense, right? But here's what I would do. If I was in my 40s or 50s, a little older guy, and I wanted to get rid of that fat, I would do 3 things. So, 3 simple steps. So, the first 48 hours, couple of days. So, document everything that you eat, basically write down and on a piece of paper, just everything that you sip, everything that you put in your mouth, and you write that down. And then the second step is that you actually get rid of one thing. You only fix one thing. And the easiest thing to fix is those liquid calories. You drink a lot of soda, or you maybe enjoy that beer or a glass of wine or even orange juice in the morning. So fix all of that, and you only drink water from now on. And I argue that you will probably be able to reduce your daily calorie intake by 3 to 500 calories easily. And if you do that consistently over the next 30 days, then you'll see a difference. And also part of that step two is you hop on a scale, obviously. So you document how much you weigh, and then you do that one thing. So don't boil the ocean. Just fix one thing. And when that becomes a routine, then you can do another one. But many people make the mistake of chasing too many things all at once, and then they fail and they get demotivated. So step one, hop on that scale, document over the next 2 days what you eat, write everything down, and then you see if there's clear outliers. Yeah, if you like donuts, if you like sugary drinks or whatever, fix one thing and commit to that for 30 days. And that's it. But if you do sit-ups to get rid of that beer belly, it's not going to work. It has nothing to do with that. And people just for whatever reason, keep asking the same question all the time online that, hey, I want to get rid of this beer belly. So what do? I do a lot of crunches. I do a lot of sit-ups. So, but I don't see a difference. Of course not. That sit-up is not going to make you lose fat. Of course, if you did a lot, so much of that your consumption went through the roof and you ate the same thing, then in theory, that sit-up or that crunch would have a positive impact on you being able to get rid of that beer belly fat. But don't go there. Calories in versus calories out. Question number two. These are just random. These are the ones that I picked that were sent to me, plus the ones that people keep asking from me. Turning 40. Question number two. I'm about to turn 40 and I've got no energy, no motivation, no goals. Any advice? I see this a lot when I talk to my clients, when I talk to people. When we get a little older, you have had those same routines for so many years, and then you're like, okay, I've basically lost myself, especially after a major setback. I mentioned in the beginning that I have a divorce under my belt and a very difficult breakup after that, which I call them two divorces, but it doesn't really matter. Two very difficult life events on the personal side. And in both cases, basically the same thing happens that or happened to me as well that I kind of lost my motivation for a little bit there. But the thing is that if you are not really excited about anything on a daily basis, it's really hard to get up. And the thing that I do is that I keep asking myself, what's my why? What's my motivation going forward? And I really tackle it from a little different perspective. So I ask my clients always this one question: what do you find yourself doing when you lose track of time? Or what is it that you would be doing if nobody gave you any money for it? And the reason why I ask it that way is that I want to understand what is it that people really want to do. What is it that what is it that they're deeply passionate about? So when you find that passion area, or maybe it's called deep curiosity in the beginning, and then you put in the reps and you get a little better at it, and you're actually all of a sudden passionate about it. Then you find something that you can feel really excited about. And it doesn't need to be more than 20 minutes in the beginning. So these three steps with my clients. So step number one is that you again write down what is it that you do when you lose track of time, or what is that you did last time when you were really happy, and then you document that. Maybe I did X, Y, and Z. And then the next step is over the next 7 days that you just do 20 minutes of that every day. And then you commit to that. And then you really just live in a 1 day cycle, understand, okay, the only thing I got to really do is that I find that 20 to 30 minute slot today to do that one thing that makes me super happy. And since I've documented that already, I have plenty of proof from the past because there are plenty of days when I have been happy. Maybe it was in my 20s or 30s or early 40s, even though I'm miserable now. Nothing is forever. So you do this one fix and you commit to that for 20 minutes. That's all it takes. And then you again quote unquote measure yourself after 30 days and you see, okay, did that make a positive impact? And I guarantee you it will. But the problem is that we often end up doing things that are on somebody else's agenda. Maybe somebody else feels super passionate about that one thing, and we are not really the ones who, at the end, they like it anymore. But we feel an obligation to do it. But that's just, in my opinion, all bullshit. So we just need to get rid of that and be brave enough to walk down that path that's really ours, 100% us. That was question number two. Question number three that I just actually saw online this morning goes like this: how do I build new social circles in my 40s. In my opinion, this hits really hard because many guys, when they again go through that reset or a major setback in life, is let's say divorce is a good example. What happened to me is that I basically lost my social circles. Pretty much for whatever reason, all the old friends, especially the couples, decided to go with my ex-wife, so to say. So they kept hanging out with her. Nothing wrong with that. I understand people pick sides. But oftentimes, maybe men more often than women, we find ourselves being a little lonely after a major setback. Or maybe you lose your business, or maybe you move to another city and you find yourself in a situation where you rebuild your social circles. And I look at it this way: the biggest danger usually is when we listen to those people who are closest to us. And that's so easy. And I use this mountain climber example all the time. And I'll take this back to the social circle in a little bit. But let's say you and me, we are those guys who want to climb to the top of Mount Everest. And we are at the bottom of that mountain. There are five of us. None of us have ever been there, not even close to the top, which makes us clueless. We have a map, we have our gear, and we have all the latest technology and whatnot. So we are prepared. But still, something happens, and we're like, okay, what do we do now? Who do we ask? We talk to each other, and everybody's clueless. But the people we should be talking to are the ones who have been to the top, those climbers. It's obviously hard when in the middle of that snowstorm and you're stuck in a cave somewhere. But when you want to rebuild your life, something has happened, or maybe you move to a different city, maybe you go through that divorce and you find yourself rebuilding your social circles. I would start, my step number one would be this one question. Okay, where do I want to go in life? Do I want to go to the top of Mount Everest? Do I want to just go here or here? Meaning, what is it that applies to me? Not what applies to my neighbor or my mom or my dad or my kids or my friends or whoever. What is it that I want to do? And then the second question is that find who those people are that have been there. And then preferably find out if those people have helped others, or maybe they don't have to be coaches or mentors. I'm not saying that you talk to a guy like me. That's not my point at all. But let's say you want to start bowling or you want to start a new hobby. Obviously, you want to talk to those people who already do that. And then you maybe want to talk to those people who are good at it so that maybe they can give you some tips or whatever. Or maybe you move to a completely different new city and you say, okay, well, I want to take on golf or do something or find people who like have similar interests to me. Find those people who have been where you want to go and then figure out if they have helped others. And that to me would be the best way to widen your social circles. But we are often stuck because we listen to the wrong people. And those new people, by the way, they don't have to be even real life people. They could be just virtual mentors. What I mean, well, real life people, but you don't need to necessarily meet them face to face. I use the same analogy all the time, and this principle is finding people that I look up to, meaning I move my goalpost. Every time I want to do something new in life, I want to get better, I find people who have been there where I want to go. And they, in my case nowadays, they are 99% of the time because the world is such a small place because of modern technology. I can watch people's YouTube videos or their social media channels or their clips or whatever. I find people who I admire who have those skills that I don't have, and then I watch what they do. And this old saying is really applicable here. So always model the rise, not the top. So let's say you like somebody and their results. Don't copy their behavior today, but figure out what is that they did when they climbed to that top position or when they achieved what they got. Meaning, if you talk to that Mount Everest mountain climber today, maybe he or she would give you a different set of advice compared to what that set of advice was when he or she was climbing or in the process of climbing up. See what I mean? And like money is a good example. I'm kind of far from the social circle, but since there is really no agenda, I guess this is okay. So my point is this. So people who are really wealthy, if you ask them or look at what they do or what kind of advice they give to other people nowadays, it's oftentimes diversify. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. But ironically, this is not the method how these people made their money. They put all their eggs in one basket and then they diversified later. So if you are now, let's say you have $1,000 to your name, and you're like, okay, well, Warren Buffett says, or tells me to diversify. Yeah, fine, but it's going to take you forever if you can't really save any more than $1 or $10 a month. It's hard to diversify with that. So I would basically say that, okay, if you have 1,000 to your name or 10,000, maybe invest that in yourself and put all the eggs in one basket. And when you have made a little bit of money, then you start diversifying. It's the same thing basically, that when Warren Buffett made his money, he made big bets. Or when an entrepreneur made a lot of money, then exited the company, sold his stake to a venture capitalist or somebody else, for instance, he put all his eggs in one basket. He bet on himself 100% every single day. And then he made 5 million, 10 million, 50 million. He started diversifying because he wanted to make sure that he can hold on to that nest egg. That would be that example. Modeled rice, not the top. What else? Those are my three questions. Anything is really good. So if there's people online, two of you now, if you have any questions, just anything goes. I'm more than happy to answer if I can be of use or if I can be of help to you guys. And like I said, this is going to be a weekly thing from now on. Every Sunday at the same time, you'll find the link on my channel everywhere. I'm going to put it as a pinned comment, and it's going to be part of my YouTube community post as well. But you'll find it if you find these useful in the future. I'm always going to do it the same way, so I'm going to pick some questions beforehand. These were the first three easy ones, and then hopefully in the future we get people answer their questions as well. Hi, I was thinking it's 20 years ago. What are a few things you would do differently? Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I'm 49 now. So let's say I was 25 to 29. What are the things I would do differently? Okay, I'm going to give you a relatively long answer, so hang in there. Um, one of my biggest achievements in life, maybe the biggest achievement, if I exclude my kids, is the fact that I don't regret anything. I've been able to live my life such that I have zero regrets. I can't pinpoint anything in my 20s or in my 30s that I say, I wish I had done this or that. So that would be the short answer. The long answer comes soon. So, and if you ask what my goals are for the next 20 or 30 years, it's going to be the exact same thing. So that I'm fearless in terms of ignoring short-term pain and fear and going after those things that I know I have to go after so that I don't have any regrets when I'm 90. I've been able to live the first 49 years so that I have no regrets, and I have every intention in this world to continue living the same way. But I'm going to give you another answer too. What are the things I wish I had done differently? What are the mistakes I made? So no regrets, but plenty of mistakes. I wish I had understood sooner that no is the default answer in life. That's probably the biggest. I used to be a yes man. I used to be a guy who thought that I need to have a backup plan and an insurance policy, and I need to have plenty of doors open all the time so that I'm successful. It's fucking the total opposite. Let me explain. You need to learn how to say no first. Time is your most valuable resource, and the attention that you get with that time. And once you have a lot of attention, you can be focused. But people do, I just, if people had told me this in my 20s or in my 30s, I would have said, yeah, but those rules don't apply to me. But deep down, the reason why I was not able to say no, I was uncomfortable saying no to distractions and temptations, was that I was I was deeply insecure. I wasn't able. The thing that we want from others is always the thing that we can't give to ourselves. Maybe by saying yes to many requests, maybe by saying yes to different opportunities, I was expecting and hoping people to pat me on the back and say, "Hey, EJ, you're doing such a great job," because I was overly critical of myself. Negative self-talk is also one of my biggest problems. It was also one of the biggest reasons why I was able to hustle, take action, and get a lot of stuff done. But it also made me a yes man. I should have been a no man by default. Right now, and I'm telling you, it's been one of the hardest things for me in life to learn to say no.
I still have to remind myself every day. It's so important because you have limited capacity, trust me. And if you try to, let's say, I mean, this is an example. Let's say this bottle, this water bottle here. Let's say this is, I mean, 1 liter or half a gallon or whatever, right? What happens if you pour this water? This, let's say it's full, which is it's not now, but let's say it's full. Let's say it's half a gallon, and you have 5 different cups here, and you pour that water evenly into those 5 cups. Obviously, you get 1/5 of that half a gallon, right? That's your attention. The water is your capacity, and the amount of water you have in those cups is the attention and the focus you have. And understanding that it takes an unreal amount of time and work to get really good at something in life, you cannot afford to pour 1/5 of half a gallon into your cup. You need to pour the whole half a gallon. That's where you go all in. You get comfortable with the uncomfortable, meaning you let certain fires burn and you say no, so that you can say yes the one thing that matters the most. It could be your kids, it could be your health, it could be your business, whatever that thing is. And then put everything else on so-called maintenance mode and then on a back burner, and then you get back to those later. That would be the biggest thing. And the second thing is that you can't fix everything. I used to think that um, I'm very good at fixing stuff, and the adversity and the trouble doesn't apply to me. And now, yeah, it's like people tell me that no, it's gonna happen. No, no, it's not gonna happen to me. Why? Because I work so hard and I can see around the corner. I can connect the dots and see the big picture. Oh man, it was only about time when that happened. My 40s, I've gone through a lot of stuff over the last 9 years. It feels like it's been a constant struggle, so to say, but I'm eternally grateful for that. So I mean, relative to the second thing that I said, the lesson out of that is that you cannot fix everything. Learn how to let go. Learn how to let go. That's fine. You don't need to have an explanation to everything. If you can't fix that relationship, if you already said something once or twice, that's it. That's it. There are people who will never understand you, and that's perfectly fine. They will never be on the same page because I was trying to convince people instead of having conviction in my own way of working. A long answer. Hopefully, I answered your question. Hopefully, you got something out of it. But definitely, that would be the one. That would be the biggest. Those two would be the biggest. No regrets, but plenty of mistakes, and those two are the first ones that come to my mind. Thank you for the question. Good question. I enjoy those. Any other ones? Yeah, like I said, the format is really simple. I try to look at a complex problem in life and simplify it by saying, okay, what's the pain? Then what's the truth behind it? And then what are the 3 steps? Because if I can't simplify a complex topic and nail it down to you guys in 3 steps, then I don't understand it myself. If I can turn a simple outcome into a behavior level actions, then I don't understand it. The easiest thing in life is to tell somebody to be more patient. Great answers. You speak so well. How much of that is natural talent and how much is training? Oh, thank you for that. Um, if you talk about if you talk about me being in front of the camera, it's all training. I've been doing this for 2 years now, exactly. Um, but I've always been quite articulate, I would say. Languages have been somewhat easy for me always. I would say probably 40% of my ability to express myself is in my DNA, is what I got from my parents, so to say. And the remaining 60% is practice. But the reason why I'm able to talk about these things, I mean the content, the meat on the bones, not just the delivery. The delivery is the 40-60, but the meat, the beef, is basically 90% practice. I've always been the type of guy who wants to spend a lot of time in his own head ever since I was a little boy. Literally, I mean, it's an unreal amount of hours what I have put into thinking about stuff. mental models and concepts and behaviors and why people do certain things. And it's just like it comes naturally from me now because I've spent so much freaking time analyzing myself. And there's a danger there if you just all about analysis paralysis type of a guy, if you meaning want to overanalyze stuff and never take action. Luckily, I've been an action taker too. But really, I guess my superpower, if I have any, is really my ability to break everything down into behavior level concepts and then using myself as an example. I'm a case study for myself in so many things. Why did I do this, this, and this? Why did I make these mistakes? It's because of this thing that happened to me when I was a kid, and then I wasn't able to correct it, and then I started suffering from it, and then I took these actions, and oh, here is the end result. That would be the answer. Depending delivery 40/60, content 90/10. So a lot of it is practice. Most of it is practice. You asked me if I was in the seventh grade and you asked me to analyze something, I wouldn't have been able to say anything, obviously, let alone talk to people. But I've always enjoyed talking to people. Yeah, definitely. I was nervous when I was a kid or younger in college and whatnot, but I still enjoyed it somewhat. But now I'm not nervous anymore. I just, well, let's put it this way. Every time I deliver something, I record a new video. Let's say it's a long form video, anywhere between 5 or 10 minutes. I have some butter. I'm not, what's the right word? I have some butterflies in my stomach a little bit, but it's that good nervousness that I look forward to it. Yeah. So then you want to do good job. But obviously, I'm still far from great or good in terms of being in front of the camera. I know a lot of room to go, which is fine. I took a break at work because I knew you were going to go live and I wanted to support you. Thank you for answering my questions. I will hear next time to go back to. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually, you know what? The funny thing with the horizontal lives is that I need to the questions disappear, and I'm actually opening it up here on my laptop too. Yeah, doing what you're doing, the views will come. Thanks from Alex. Okay, thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next Sunday as well if there's anything. So contact me anytime. But yeah, I have my laptop open here next to me so that I can see these. I don't know how to change the settings on my phone such that the questions wouldn't disappear, but they just show up for a little bit and then I have to kind of like read them quickly. It's weird. I don't know why. That's why I'm staring at my computer screen here. But I mean, if there's no question, obviously, then I can do this, meaning just look at you guys. But it's funny seeing yourself here on the site. I mean, like I gotta close this laptop a little bit. What else do we want to talk about? It's 1st of March. Spring is around the corner, hopefully. This winter, I'm gonna just give you guys an update because I haven't had lives in, I would say, maybe a month. I came back from Spain beginning of February, 3.5, 4 weeks ago. I spent 2 months in Spain this winter, a month before Christmas, a month after Christmas. And I could talk about this too if anybody's interested. Thinking should be based on awareness, but it wants the boss to be in place. How to get rid of this? Hold on. Why don't I have it here yet? Comes later. Oh, here. Oh, my friend. Think it should be based on awareness. Well, awareness is a funny thing. I look at it this way. You can you need to start with yourself. And when you are self-aware, it basically means that you know where you come from. Self-awareness is always the first step to everything because many people they make the fundamental mistake of um trying to figure out how to get where you want to go and they miss the first step. Let's say I'll draw something for you. Well, actually, I won't. So I'll give you an analogy. So let's say you're traveling. Let's say you, I don't know, you fly from LA to Hawaii. That's your first trip to Honolulu, for instance. Okay. Pick any destination. You land at the airport, you at that rental car desk. And then you get that car, and then you open your phone and you're like, okay, I need to drive to my hotel. What's the first step? It's not getting the driving directions, it's making sure that your data is on, that your location finder is on. And location finder is the same thing as being self aware. So understand where you come from, who you are, and then you can get your driving directions to your hotel. Many people are so busy trying to figure out how to get to their destination. But the phone or the Google Maps or whatever application you're using is not able to do that for you unless you have the data on, unless you have the GPS and the location finder on. And so, therefore, self awareness, everybody can practice that. How do you do that? I don't know. You spend a lot of time in your own head. You ask yourself, why is it I'm doing this? And my concept really is to ask why 7 times. Usually that's when you get to the bottom of it. I can use myself as an example. Okay. So previously I told you that it was really hard for me to say no to a bunch of stuff. So I was a yes man. So one might say, okay, you could ask, answer back or argue back with me saying, okay, why was it hard for you to say no? And I would say, because I wanted to be a yes man. Okay. Second why. Why do you want to be a yes man? I would say, okay, because I want to control the outcome. Interesting. Now we're getting somewhere. Why do you want to control the outcome? Because I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. Hmm, Going deeper. Why is that you don't want anybody to tell you what to do? Even deeper. Because I don't like anybody giving me advice. Okay, why is it that you don't like that? Because I'm afraid what might happen, what my feelings are, if I don't get to dictate what happens. If somebody else tells me what to do and I humiliate myself and I look like an idiot in front of others. See what I'm saying? So there's always something when you start peeling the onion, you get to the bottom of the root cause, so to say. And I don't know how many times I hit why, maybe 5 or 6 times, but see what I'm saying? If you're really honest with yourself, if you're like, okay, I'm stuck with self-awareness, like someone was saying. So then, okay, you're not very good at asking yourself why. Go and do that 7 times and you'll be able to figure it out. You're going to get to the bottom of it at the end of the day. If you're honest with yourself, of course, you need to be able to answer those questions too. The reason why I was able to throw that at you and use that as an example is because I've done that so many times. I know what my deep insecurities are. Or I give you another one. Okay, why is that you've been training for 32 years straight without missing a single workout? Well, the bottom, really skipping the 7 times now, is really the truth is that I'm deeply insecure physically. I still see myself as a guy who weighs 150 pounds. I'm 220 now. So 70 pounds lighter, skinny, tall, weak, no muscles. If I skip a workout, if I skip a meal, I'm afraid that I go back to that version of myself that is 150 pounds and skinny and weak. Even though I know nobody cares. Nobody would probably laugh at me, but still inside of me, I have that deep insecure boy who wants to keep pushing and whose identity is very strongly linked and tied to that physical appearance. And I'm not saying I look like a male model in any way. No, I'm not saying that, but I know that my physique is maybe quite a bit better than an average 49-year-old. And I'm proud of that, even though I'm deeply insecure at the same. See, so you can be two things at the same time. So you can be very self-aware and you can be confident about the way you look, but then what keeps you going is that deep insecurity. I think there's if you think about motivation at its strongest level, I think there's really two drivers for motivation. I think number one, there's that deep insecurity that drives many people, and then curiosity is the other thing. I'm just oversimplifying, putting things in black and white corners now. I know that. But if I look at myself and if I analyze other people, I think motivation, really strong motivation, usually comes from those two principles. Deep insecurity, something that keeps you going all the time. It's like that never ending fuel source that keeps you pushing forward. Or then curiosity. And curiosity is obviously healthier. And I think the older we get, the better we at least should get at using curiosity as fuel. So think about that rocket launch. When Elon Musk is launching the next rocket to the moon or whatever, the orbit, if rocket uses different fuel sources, so there's the first one that gets the rocket off the ground. That's the kind of like that. It's like you stopping for traffic lights, of course, using a smaller example or an easier example. When you stop the car and then you press the gas pedal, what happens? You need more energy to get going to move the mass. So that's that. So that when the rocket gets off the ground, you use a lot of energy to get it going. But then what does it do? At certain altitude, I don't know what that is, it ditches the first engines and it switches to a different fuel source. So that's how you look at it. So you basically, to get going, probably I would argue deep insecurity is maybe the primary fuel source or the driving force for you. But then at some point, you switch to a healthier source, which might be called curiosity or whatever you call it. I would use myself as an example. Curiosity, I want to find out how good I truly am. I want to empty my tank. This would be a professional goal. Let's say professionally, of course, I care about money. I care about other results, maybe status somewhat too. But at the end of the day, I'm deeply curious to see what I can get done. I mentioned I started this social media journey, building my personal brand, helping coaching other people online, which is one of my three passion areas right now. I want to empty my tank at the end of the day. And I said to myself that this is going to take fucking 5 years in the beginning in order to see how good I can be. I, 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 I'm not 2 years in, so I have 3 years to go. So, but I'm not going to quit before I really know that I have exhausted all my energy, resources, and all my tools in my toolbox, use them so that I know what I'm capable of. So curiosity is driving me big time. There is that deep insecurity too, because maybe part of me feels that, okay, I don't know if I'm good enough if I do this, or I need to prove I have a chip on my shoulder. You know, you guys know that, right? But definitely, as far as physical appearance goes, we're far from that question, by the way, that somebody had. When the old engine falls out, will there be an intermediate stage to find new power? Feeling too good to do nothing? That's a great question, my friend. Um, it's a great question. So when the old engine dies down, the rocket ship gets off the ground, and then you like ditch the old engine, and then you switch to that alternative fuel source. Is there an intermediate stage? That there definitely is. Hey, there definitely is an intermediate stage. I don't know if I'm like, okay, using myself as an example, I think that intermediate stage is when you hit rock bottom. I think I think we become men when we hit rock bottom. We have talked about this in the past, and I think you understand that you need to switch from deep curiosity, I'm sorry, deep insecurity to curiosity or something else when you hit rock bottom. Before that, you have no idea that you have used dirty fuel, because deep insecurity in the long term is dirty fuel. In the short term, it might be good fuel for you to get that rocket going. If you are overweight, you know, you've been smoking and your doctor tells you that you have lung cancer, you gotta quit. You use whatever fucking fuel source you have to kick that habit or start losing weight. If you need to lose 50 kilos or 100 pounds, you're gonna use whatever fuel source. You don't care what fuel source you have, and that's fine. Use whatever you have in your back pocket or wherever, in whichever pocket. But at some point, when you have exhausted all the resources and maybe you feel that now I lost, you thought in the beginning that, okay, losing 100 pounds is going to make me happy, or making $10 million is going to make me happy. You use deep insecurity as your fuel source. Then you hit rock bottom. You like, And the rock bottom could be that, okay, you lose your marriage, you lose your health, or you find out that I'm miserable. I'm about to jump off the balcony, even though I have a lot of money. That's your rock bottom. Then you're like, okay, deep insecurity is no longer enough. The dirty fuel needs to be replaced with something which is cleaner. And then you find something else, which could be curiosity driven. It could be something else, and then you start using that. That would be my answer to your question. How can we get out of bad habit pattern that we know about but just can't get out of? Okay, give me an example. Would that be a bad habit? Could be you're talking about smoking or social media doom scrolling or eating habits or something like that. I assume that's it. Let me know if something else. Um, I think it I think it starts with that big enough why. Might sound like a cliche, but I think that's true. If you have motivation, doom scrolling after work. Okay, thank you for that. Doom scrolling after work. Mm, I look at it this way that if your anchor points in life are strong enough for you, meaning if you find something that is so meaningful to you that you're willing to basically spend every waking hour doing that, I think then that's when you're onto something. And I believe, maybe I'm naive, but I believe that everybody has that one thing, or maybe two things. I've found many passions in my life. My first passion professionally that prevented me from, of course, I've been doing my version of doom scrolling. I think, first of all, don't beat yourself up, because allow yourself to do some of that. Be a little flexible. That's okay, as long as you don't spend 4 or 5 hours doom scrolling. You can do half an hour, 40 minutes. That's fine. Give yourself a break. That could be a hobby. But when you find something that you're truly passionate about, to me, it was my business career first. I had a corporate career for 10 years. I mean, fitness has been always my one thing. So my friends could tell you that when I was 18, 20, or whatever, other guys went to the bars and restaurants and partying and whatnot. I went home early so that I could wake up the next morning. So my why was so big. I was like, and it was that deep insecurity that I just referred to. I saw myself skinny, weak, whatever, tall, lanky, skinny, fat guy. I was like, I don't want to be that. So my why was so freaking big that I was able to I was willing to do whatever it takes. But I think it doesn't need to be that dirty, as in my case, so to say. But if you like I mentioned in one of my questions in the beginning, if you find something that you want to do, even if there was no money in it, what is that you would be doing? What do you find yourself doing when you have half an hour to spend or spare? Right now, you said doom scrolling, but okay, maybe that doom scrolling isn't that bad after all. Is there one theme there that you find yourself, being more attracted to? Let's say you like those funny cat videos. Why is that you like cat videos? Maybe you're an animal person. Maybe there's something there. See what I'm trying to say? So I think if you dig deeper, again, use that, ask yourself 7 times why. When you find that thing that you're passionate about, it's that deep curiosity. I think you can build your life. Again, people disagree with me, but I think I'm right. If you find that passion area of yours, that deep curiosity that can be turned into your passion, you're going to find yourself doom scrolling less. You find yourself kicking those habits. People change in life. I'm going to simplify this so much for you now. People change in life when the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change. In your case, if you're doom scrolling, the pain of change in your eyes looks scarier and more painful than what you're doing right now. Again, let's use an extreme example. People know smoking is bad for them or drinking is bad for them. When is it that these people quit smoking? Usually when something bad has already happened. Maybe they go see a doctor in their 50s and say, hey, you have lung cancer. What do they do? All of a sudden, the pain of staying the same exceeded the pain of change. Up until that point, you've seen smoking as something that you can just keep on doing. No consequences. An outsider might say, hey, I would think that's your rock bottom already. You spent 150,000 on cigarettes. You've done it for 30 years and you look pale and yellow and whatever. Or obviously can't look pale and yellow at the same time, but you know what I mean? You look like a smoker and your skin is terrible and you're in terrible shape. You're coughing all the time. But to that guy, I still live until that one visit at the doctor's office. And the doctor says to you that, dude, you're going to die if you keep doing what you do. Most guys at that point, they quit. Why? All of a sudden, pain of staying the same. If I keep doing this, I'm going to literally die. It got really real. So in your case, doom scrolling is not painful enough. How can you make that painful enough? That's the question. So you bring your future to today. Ask yourself, okay, if I keep doom scrolling until eternity, what's going to happen? I'm going to miss out on these opportunities. I'm going to do this, this, and that. So you basically bring that worst case scenario into today so that you exceed the pain of right now so much that exceeds the pain of change. Does that make sense? That would be my answer. Long one. Watch the record if I made no sense. Thanks. You're welcome. Yeah. So it's all about that. I mean, people change when the status quo, the pain of status quo exceeds the pain of change. Look at it this way again. Another simple concept. There's really two things in my life. There's the short-term pain and the long-term regret. And people have this upside down, fucking upside down. Most of us, I would argue, over 90% of us, doesn't matter what the percentage is, but many of us prioritize short term pain over long term regret because they're like, oh, it's so far out in the future. But those people who are able to act right there and then, right now, avoid pain, avoid that fear, they can prioritize long term regret. They understand that these are the things I need to do now. It doesn't matter how painful they are, so that I'm never in a situation when I'm 90 or 70 or whatever out of time in my deathbed moment that I'm going to regret these things. That's another tool that you can use that I use all the time. Ask yourself, when I'm out of time, about to punch my ticket, there are no second chances anymore. Am I happy that I kept doom scrolling? Because regret is the thing that I cannot live with. I know myself so well. I'm willing to go through a lot of pain, a lot of fear, swim upstream because everybody else is afraid of that shit. They're like, will because if you think about the comfort zone concept, that's exactly it. People stay in their comfort zone. It's that little circle. This is your little circle here, a comfort zone. There's resistance, this tape roll, a roll of tape, right? See, in order for you to break this thing, seems hard. It's so easy to stay in your comfort zone because that short-term pain dominates. Short-term fear dominates. Your job is to break that pattern. Your job is to break these walls no matter what. Get out of your comfort zone so that you don't have to deal with long-term regret. Doom scrolling would be one thing, one example of that. You ask yourself, am I going to regret this at 90 or even in 10 years or 5 years if I keep doom scrolling? Because now it's just all about short-term pain. Meaning I don't want to avoid that. I don't want to just stop doom scrolling because I get that dopamine hit when I see these whatever videos that I watch or images or whatever. That's how I look at it. Complex problem, try to simplify it. Try to break it into actionable models so that you can have tools in place. We might know what to do, but we need tools. What do you think about the role of environment on your actions? I just started studying another place, library, and I'm able to study more and I use less phone now. Oh, that's huge. That's a great point. Old saying, change your circumstances, change your behavior. Meaning change your environment, change your behavior. Before one of the questions popped, Oh, oh, absolutely. Just don't question that. You already have the proof. You're already basically saying that, look, I know myself. I changed my circumstances. I changed my environment and I changed my behavior. That's a hack that is available to everybody. Use it. I use it too. Mine is more expensive. I have to hop on a plane. If I'm really stuck in life, I have to hop on a plane so that I can really see things clearly. No. But yes, in a way. I use Office. If it gets busy at home, I come to the office. But you're onto something really good. It applies to people too. If you're stuck, change your circumstances, change the people you hang out with. You're gonna change your behavior, your actions, and your outcome. That's the that's the quickest path to smaller victories. Go to the library to study so that you can doom scroll. Absolutely. Identify what those are. The next step for you would be to identify what those little environments are. Library, great. Maybe I find myself being in better mood if I use different routes to the gym or the workplace or whatever. Or I'm happier when I'm in an environment where it's more sunny. Well, then move. You're not a fucking tree. Okay, that's one of the reasons, by the way, why I spent 2 months in Spain this winter because I don't like the winter here in Northern Europe. I'm going to spend more and more time in the coming winters in places where it's warmer and sunnier. Why right now? Because my kids are still at an age where they are kind of home, and I want to. That would be the number one regret in my life. I didn't, try to maximize my time, but I also need to give them space. I use that all the time. It's great. You're onto something. Do more of that. Now, next step, identify what those places are. You do that with people too. That's the number. I don't know how old you are. I'm getting a sense that you're somewhat younger than me, but the number one decision in your life is the decision on your life partner, who you hang out with. 18, man. Oh my God, you're young. Yes, absolutely. 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 Any other questions? Good ones. Really glad I started this thing. Again, next Sunday at the same time, we're going to have another one. I'm a fourth year, I'm going to pull it up here. I'm a fourth year electrical engineering student. At the start of the semester, I struggled to start my projects or study the materials, but then I remember that this is the only way to pass my exams. Yeah, that's right. You need to, we all have our different ways of getting stuff done. How can I, let me wait for your, let me wait for your question. Okay, while I wait for it, there you go. How can I be more productive in the beginning? Hmm. So you struggle at the beginning of the semester to study your project, to study your materials for the projects. Then I remember that this is the only way to pass my exams. So you basically, there's no shortcut. How can I be more productive in the beginning? I procrastinate a lot. Okay. Okay. Um, I would basically say that one of the reasons why I'm offering this one piece of advice to you. I'm the biggest fan of simplicity in life. Every time when we are overwhelmed and every time we seem like we are out of options, we seem to procrastinate. What's the underlying reason that we feel that we don't really know what to do? We're overwhelmed because there's too much stuff on our plate. This goes back to that being your ability to say no that I mentioned a while back. Um, One of the biggest productivity hacks for me has been to really live in a 1 day cycle. Of course, you have your calendar. I know you can't just completely eliminate your next week and the week after. But what I'm saying is that if I were you, I would look at it this way. I would have my short to midterm targets, which would basically be my deadlines. And then I would map the high level roadmap from here, from today to those milestones. But then the most crucial part is that your number one job every day when you wake up is that you ask yourself, what's today's signal? There's two types of things in life. There's signal and there's noise. Signal is what's relevant. Noise is what's irrelevant. Makes sense, right? Very simple. Sounds easy, like, okay, well, I know. But if you have 10 or 15 things on your plate, no, you can't treat those things equal. They are not. You have to be able to pick what's that one thing that moves the ball forward the most. So if you find yourself procrastinating, I would argue, I believe that one of the reasons probably is that you have too much on your plate. You're overwhelmed. You don't know what really to do. And then you need to learn how to say no, learn how to prioritize, prioritize, word prior, what comes first, what's the focus, what's the priority. And then you do that. If you do that one thing well, I would argue that that's going to move your ball forward the most, and you don't procrastinate that much, and you get more results faster. My example in my life today, when I live in a 1 day cycle, I ask myself, what's today's signal? So I woke up at 5 in the morning. I'm like, fuck. Every time I do that, it's like 4:30 or 5. It's that cortisol thing that kicks in, and then you're in the survival mode, and all of those worries come, they hit you right away. And I find myself then being overwhelmed. And then I just like literally I have to do this mental exercise of okay, just like bring myself back to the present moment. So I cut my ties to the past and the future, and just like bring myself in. What's relevant right now? What do I appreciate about the present moment? And when I wake up, I was able to fall back to sleep. When I wake up, I'm like, okay, what's today's signal? Plenty of things on my plate. I gotta pay the bills, go to the grocery store, do some laundry, see the kids, go to my son's hockey game, this and that. But overwhelmingly, number one thing was this live today. And then I had to do some shorts and I had to edit some videos, but this live. So that was the thing. I asked myself, okay, if I only did one thing, what is it that I would do today professionally? It would be this. Then I knew all my effort goes into this. I did some prep and whatnot. So that thing, it's really hard to see that. But people who are super productive in life, they have this exceptional ability to separate signal from noise. Then they say no to all the noise and they focus on signal and they get that stuff done. And then the following day, they go through the same exact exercise. What's today's signal? What's the one thing? Max two things, no more than that. These are the things I do. And if you emptied your tank on those, that's it. That's what I would offer to you. Try it out. It works. Works really well. I have a hard stop in a couple of minutes. I can take one question more if there's any. Thank you. You're welcome. Hope it helps. My pleasure. I'll see you next week. The return from you could be that, or the favor if you want. Just like join next week as well and send me questions up front. I'll send you the link during the week, and then we can talk about something else. But yeah, I'm gonna do this once a week now. This is gonna be. In the past, I did these randomly. It's like there was no. It was just like me throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks, and it's like I didn't have a plan. But I guess when you do enough of that stuff, sometimes you have those clear moments and you have some clarity, and that's why I thought that it would make sense to do this once a week, and then do a combination of some pre-selected questions plus whatever you guys have on your mind. A lot of back and forth. I appreciate that. Um, this is gonna be saved. This recording on my channel, so if you want to watch this after the fact, please do. And like I said, younger people here today compared to my target audience. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Don't take it personally if I talk about men over 40. But really, the main focus here is to help people who are go through something major in their life, have to reset. So how can we bring clarity, clarity, action, momentum framework, and try to break it down into 3 steps for you. Thank you for today's live. I'm going to see you, talk to you again next week. And in the meantime, watch my videos if you want, long and short. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do my best. You're 46. Okay, so you are in my wheelhouse. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, this is pleasure is all mine. I would be doing this if there was no money in this for me. There's very little right now because I started 2 years ago, but still I'm growing and trying to get better. But I would be doing this even if there was money. So when you go back and maybe watch this again, when I said to you that find that something, that one thing that you would be willing to do even if there was no money in it, and then you onto something. Because I think you don't feel like working. Okay, pleasure is all mine. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys next week, same time. So 9 a.m. East Pacific. How old are you? I'm 49. 49. Yes. So standard time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, and whatever time zone I'm in, then that would be my time. But right now, I'm 7 hours ahead of East Coast time. Thanks a lot. Talk to you next week. Appreciate it. Bye.